All right, all right. We are back, and I'm Hollie Foust, and I have Hootan here today, who we all know is the guru of medical billing, even a little bit on dental billing, all up in the DSO world. And we need to know what's going on, Hootan, in your world. And then let's talk about dentistry. So, without further ado, give me Hootan. Tell us a little bit about you and bring us up to speed. And then we're just going to talk about dentistry, if that's okay.
Sure. Thanks, Holly. Excited to be with you and see you again. This is now my 18th year of dental. 18 years ago, I started off in a practice. I was the office manager. So, for any of the office managers listening, I was once you, and I'm always compassionate towards all that you do in the offices and everything that, as a team member, you do for your practices. Then, after about 6, 7 years of doing that, I realized there was a need in the dental space for medical billing. This was 2012, and I, at the time, thought CT was going to become a common tool in offices. I thought at the time more general dentists would do more grafting and more implants. And then at that time, and maybe even a few years before that, like I'd say late 2000s, managing obstructive sleep apnea with a mandibular advancement device was all the rage in LA. And my career started in Los Angeles. And so I would talk to a lot of practices and they took all this cool CE, but they really didn't have any solutions to bill for the appliance. So I started a medical billing company. It went really well, really quick. So I got some degree of like notoriety in Los Angeles. That led me to, within about a 6 month period, I met Patterson Dental, which I still have a great relationship with. At the time, there was a company which later merged, but at the time there was a company, Sirona, which was the manufacturer of Ceric and Cone Beam and some other things. And then another gentleman who's kind of important to the whole story, Tarun Agarwal. I met him at what was called back then at an event called the 3D Summit, and it was in California. And met him, and go back to him. So yeah, I just started speaking nationally for Patterson and Sirona, talking about medical billing, introducing docs to it, and I would bump into Tarun here and there. And then we bumped into each other again several events later. And he was like, "Hey man, like, why don't you teach this stuff?" And that led to me teaching medical billing as a standalone course, and then also as a complementary to a sleep apnea course from 2015 to 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020. So that kind of all came to a halt. And then during 2020, my wife became pregnant with our second child. And between that and just slowing down, I decided I don't want to travel as much as I was. Just to give you an idea, Holly, I was telling somebody this the other day. In 2018, between Dentsply Sirona, Patterson, and Tarun, it was 39 Fridays.
Wow.
So get on a plane, 39 Thursdays. And
it takes me back to the racing days
yeah,
on the road for,
yes,
47 weeks a year.
Right.
So absolutely.
January of 2021, I took a position as director of clinical operations for a regional DSO here in Georgia, and did that for 2.5 years. And then after that ended, I went back to what I know and what I do, my medical billing company. That has recently been acquired by another company called Dentite. We talked about that. And so for like the last 7, 8 months, I haven't really been doing much other than working part-time and figuring out what's next. So there we go.
There we go. Well, Hootan, we met through T-Bone or Tarun, but I started learning more about medical billing from you and how to put it into our general offices and how to make additional streams of income. So there's still a need. We just know that right now there's other needs happening in dentistry that keep taking precedence over, do I make this extra income or do I hire somebody?
Sure.
when you're short staffed and and your practices are going through transition and they're getting balled up, medical billing does take the back seat, but there's still that good
Understood.
group of dentists that have been able to maintain their team members, or they keep finding great hires and they've kept their medical billing going. And I'm in awe of those offices because
Sure.
medical billing has a is a great resource for dentistry, and there is such an opportunity to make additional income there. So
Yeah, and I
I
would say
love it.
probably in the last 5 years that I have not been speaking or traveling as much, the other thing that has dramatically changed, and it's in the favor of medical billing as a topic, is the number of all and X providers. 10 years
Oh,
ago,
absolutely.
I don't know if I had like 5 friends doing it. Now I probably have over 100 friends that do a good amount of cases, and growing. And those cases are pretty much entirely medical in nature. So um, that's a whole nother avenue that recently has, in the last couple of years, really been a hot topic.
So first, I want to talk about, like, you were an office manager.
Hmm.
I love it because being a dental assistant, being in sterile, then moving my way up into admin and management. I'm so empathetic to all my team members,
Right, me too.
and but it's inspiring when you meet people who have taken a career that started as an office manager, and 18 years later, you're selling your companies,
Hmm.
you're consulting for the consultants,
Hmm.
you're teaching the courses on how to go teach.
Right.
I think that's super inspiring for the office manager that's sitting out there burnt out and wondering what her next move is, to just hear that there's the sky's the limit in dentistry.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got the drive and you have the passion and you love the field, like, you can make a career out of teaching other office managers if you want, but you got to do it well in your office.
uh,
You did it well in your office.
yeah, good point. Because that's exactly what I was going to say. Is uh, for anybody that might be watching or listening to this, the only trick I had, it wasn't like I was smarter than anybody or faster with anything like that. But to your point of what you said, I just wanted it. And
Yeah.
at that time, I was really focused. Like I was like, you know, when I really kind of, because I was always pretty decent at medical billing, but I was not what I am now. But I was okay. I mean, I could do like a third molars and a sleep apnea
Right.
appliance or something like that, some basic stuff. But when I really started kind of like honing my craft, I was at it. I would study the same way that you would probably take anything else seriously in life, right? Like 10 hours a day, like get all the books, ask questions. And, Holly, you know me pretty well, but maybe some of your listeners don't. I'm not shy at all. So like if, I would call Tarun, let's use him as an example. I'd be at his office. I'd be like, "Hey, man, on a CT, like, can you see this?" He'd be like, "No," and he would explain why. I'd be like, "Okay, hey, when you do this procedure, isn't this part of it?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, why?" And I'm like, "Well, you could bill for that, and I don't think people are billing for that." And so, like, I kind of just always pushed it, pushed it, pushed it, pushed it, and as much as I could, just kept getting better. And most importantly, realizing like there's always room for improvement, even when you're at the top of your game. Um,
Absolutely.
I think last January I was with someone who I'm pretty sure you know this person, Holly. I don't want to say their name because I don't know if it's okay if I do, but I respect her a lot. She's great in dentistry, and she's like watching the event, and then I was done speaking. I sat down, and she says, I think there's only 5 people in the United States that could do what you do. I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay, well, thank you. Having said that, though, even though I heard that, I don't feel that way. So 2 weeks later, I was at a CE with some of my dental friends, and I'm not a dentist, but I was just hanging out with them. And then one of the speakers just went very in depth on Leforts. And like, while I know how to bill a Lefort to medical, from his perspective as an oral surgeon, and me as a biller in the audience, like I was like just a sponge. Like even 18 years in, I was like, oh, God, okay, that's okay. He did that, and in my head, I'm like coding it as he's talking. I'm like, okay, so
That's awesome.
you know, and so I was like, okay, like I think I could look at Lafort's a little bit differently now, and
Yeah.
maybe ask some different questions from some of my oral surgery clients.
That's awesome. But see, that's the thing is you're inspired to keep growing and to
Mm-hmm.
keep wanting it.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have this journey that was I managed a dental practice and then I started a billing company. I grew a billing company. I became a speaker for national brands and now I've sold my billing company and now I'm coaching the coaches.
Yeah, yeah,
This is awesome though because if I say this, but not to minimize you, but you were just an office manager.
correct.
And there's so many office managers that get burned out and they're like, there's nowhere else to go. There's so many team members that are like, what's next?
Yeah,
And there's not a lot of information at what can be next, but how do you get to next?
yeah, and circumstances are different. In what is it? About 2.5 weeks here, I'll be 45. At that time, when I was an office manager and I was like 30, 31, 32, um, there wasn't too many options beyond office manager. And I think maybe for a lot of people, that might be the burnout, is they maybe have done it for 5, 6 years. They're a very motivated person and they ask themselves, well, what's next? And it sometimes looks like there is not a next
Right. Or
because,
they go to a Facebook group and ask what's next. And you're
right,
talking to a whole group of girls who, or guys who they don't know what's next either.
right,
I think sometimes it's asking the right people or
correct.
being super inquisitive to always be curious,
So at that
always be
time,
asking questions so that you can find out what's next.
absolutely, 100%. I didn't have that, and I think I know what you meant when you said earlier a Facebook group with a bunch of girls. Um, at that time, and maybe it's still true. I don't know, Holly, you would know better. There wasn't a lot of male office managers in Los Angeles County. I think I knew like two or three, and certainly I would talk to them, and um, but they were in different circumstances than me, different ages, different backgrounds, and at that time it was a little bit true of my generation or my time that like there wasn't much beyond the office manager, in that if the doctor you were working for was happy with their one location and the income they were making, yes, by all definition you were capped. um, I really didn't know that much about DSOs then. There was only one or two really big, maybe three really big ones in California. I interviewed with them, and a couple others at the time when I was kind of thinking of what to do, and it didn't sound like the right fit at the time. So
Right.
the best advice I got was, I was trying to figure it out. I was unemployed, and still to the point though, I didn't give up on learning. So while I was unemployed, I would call, because I was born and raised in Los Angeles, so I have a lot of friends there. I would call friends. I'd be like, "Hey man, can I like come hang out the whole day at your oral surgery practice?" Or I'd be like, "Hey man, can I come over and hang out at your
Yeah.
orthodontic practice?" And I always, they were like, "Yeah, cool, come by, hang out." So I went to a kid that I grew up with, to his orthodontic practice, and I watched him do his thing for the day, and I learned a lot. And he's like, "Let's go to lunch." And I went to lunch, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I tell him, I'm like, "I'm trying to do this, I'm doing that, I'm going to help this, and I'm going to, case acceptance and implants, and I just said a bunch of words, and he just very, and obviously we grew up together, and very calmly he goes, "All right, you're going to fail." And I'm like, "Wow, okay. Do you want to expand on that?" And he's like, "Look," and my friends call me Hootie, you know that, Holly. So he goes,
Okay.
"Hootie, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Trust me. Try to figure out in the next 6 months what dental offices are not very good at and what you're
Yep.
very good at, and make that your business, and you'll be just fine." Like, okay, well that's
That's great
fair.
advice, right?
Yeah, I was like, that's fair. So during the next 6 months, I would do occasional projects for various friends, and it just, because now I was open to it, I was hearing it more. So I would hear like the office go, "Hey, Hootan, we're out of network with Guardian, and they're forcing all of our OS claims to go to medical first. How do I do it?" "Hey, Hootan, we went to this sleep course. It sounds something awesome, but how do you build the
Where do we
appliance for
start?
medical?"
Yeah.
"Hey, Hootan, the so and so rep from so and so manufacturer came by and they want me to get a cone beam. Is there anything I could do with that billing wise?" And so it just kept happening. And so I'm a big believer in proof of concept,
Yeah.
and I know Tarun is too. So I was like, okay, so as to not embarrass myself, I'm gonna ask like 10 or 15 friends local to my house if they'll let me do it. They said yes. So Curtis, another guy named Thomas, they were all within a driving distance of my house. I was like, "Hey, would you mind if like I did your CTs, your third molars to medical, and let me try to figure this out?" And they said yes. So I did it, and shortly thereafter, here comes the checks. So not that I didn't think it was going to work, but like I kind of was shocked. Like I almost was like,
Sure.
did I like really figure this out?
Right. I
Um,
did it.
yeah. And then,
Yes.
it just kind of kept going from there. This was late 2012. And then in 2013, about, I think it was like March or April of 2013. I remember it was right before I got married. Word had really spread by this point. Like it had
Right.
gotten out of control. And this is really for some of the younger listeners. This is well before Instagram, or, there was Facebook, but it wasn't like what it is now. And so, this is like literally people talking and texting one another. So I met with several manufacturers, and they were not really like positive meetings. And I won't get into that, but they just
Sure.
weren't good meetings. So the last and final meeting I had was with a gentleman, and I still talk to him. I talked to him last week. His name is Mohammed. He is still the Dentsply Sirona imaging rep for Los Angeles. And
Okay.
so he calls me and he's like, "Hey man, I heard you do medical billing for this guy named Thomas." And I was like, "Yeah." And now I'm like tired of these meetings, right? And he's
Sure.
like, "Can I talk to you?" And I said, "Sure." I was like, "I'm happy to talk to you." He was like, "Well, where do you want to meet?" And so because I was so tired of all this, I forced him to meet me across the street at a coffee shop.
Okay.
When I went to the meeting, I walked in my pajamas, and I hadn't shaved in like 4 or 5 days. And
Oh Lord.
I show up there and I'm like, "What's up, man?" I was like, "What?" I kind of was almost like that. I was like, "What?" But he was different. He was classy. He was smart. He conducted himself professionally. Like there was just a lot of good vibes. So he's like, "Hey, can I see your payments on the EOBs for CT?" And I was like, "Sure." So I opened up my laptop, and coincidentally, I had EOBs where the patient's information was blacked out. So I show him the EOBs. I'm explaining to him, and he's like, "Okay." And then he looks right back at me. He's like, "Tomorrow, someone's going to call you at 8 a.m." Now, I had heard that line 15 times beforehand.
Sure.
So I
You
was
got a
like,
lot of no's.
"All right, buddy, whatever, bro. Have a nice day."
Right.
Nope. That 8 a.m. doctor is very famous. You know him, and so do probably tens of thousands of people listening to this. I won't say his name, but he called me at 8 a.m. sharp. And he goes, "Yeah, hey, do you want to come by the office and pick up a check? What do you want?" And, it was kind of like that. And I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "What's going on?" And then it just kind of kept going from there, from that. And then, a year later, I think it was February of 2014 is when, I really started heavily speaking. I did a couple local events summer of 2013, and I was not good. And my first slides were really bad compared to my slides now. And I was nervous. And so I did that. There was proof of concept. There was proof of concept for me in that I had success with these 10 or 15 friends, and I felt comfortable going to like 30 or 40. Um, and then I was able to hire some people and, scale it through an online platform for submissions. Once I did a few local speaking gigs, that's when I got the opportunity to start doing them nationally. And that,
That's awesome.
yeah, and that was a fun ride for sure.
Yeah. So from office manager to own your own business, like you got a lot of no's, right?
Hmm.
Ton of no's.
Hmm.
I tell all my people who are trying to start a business, whether you're in the office or, you're just a business, a potential business owner, you're going to get kicked in the gut and you're going to fail. You're going to fail often and frequently. You just got to fall forward and keep going.
So I didn't
Like
know that.
take the nose and run.
Well, I didn't know that. Now I'm a tough person by nature, so not that nose really bothered me, but I didn't really like understand it.
You didn't
And
understand that you were going to get punched in the gut a ton.
yeah, so one night I go to dinner with a rep from a company, and we're at sushi, and I'm just like telling him about, and for those of you who maybe don't know, you've probably heard, Los Angeles traffic is on a magnitude of traffic that you really can't understand. And so the fatigue, and then, so I'm talking to this guy and I'm like, dude, I leave the house like 5 a.m. and this and that. And he's like, are you successful? I was like, yeah, generally the meetings go well and some people sign up, and he's like, and he was dead serious. He goes, have you been kicked out of a dental office yet? I'm like, kicked out? I was like, no, I've not been kicked out of a dental office. He's like, you're a rookie, man. He said that, and then about 2, 3 weeks later, I got kicked out of my first dental office, and I felt so grown up. Like I remember, I got into the parking lot. I was like, "Bro, I just got kicked out." I was like, "I'm so excited,"
You forgot me.
I was like, "I'm one of you now. I've made it," But yeah, it's those things happen where it's like you walk in and the office manager like just points to the door or whatever.
Yeah, we don't have time for this.
So yeah, that, and I was like, okay, cool, I made it. But having said that, like I don't want anybody to think that it doesn't wear on you.
Sure.
And if it does, then what is your source of strength? Is it your spouse? Is it your kids? Is it exercising? Is it your religion, your faith? Is it books? Is it yoga? I don't know. But whatever your thing is, where you could reset, would maybe be my recommendation. That because some days are harder than others. You
Mhm.
certainly have some days where you have some big wins and you celebrate them. Then there's some days where you're like, I don't know if I want to do this, right? Like you've really
Yeah.
got to think about, like, am I going to be able to wake up tomorrow morning and do this? And so on those tougher days, you just got to find your source of, again, what I say, a reset. Everything's fine. Take a
Yep.
deep breath. Everything will work out. Have faith in yourself. And I know I'm saying this now, it's all easy. It was not at certain times.
No, not at all.
And generally, in my 45 years of life, most good things I've gotten have come with work. Um, let's say college or graduate school, I worked hard. Michelle is my wife. Like I put an effort into our dates and take, like there's no point where my kids not like, there's no point where like I coasted and somehow success just showed up. Like it just, that
Right.
just has never happened. There is a part of, there's a work to it that happens.
I'm not sure that anyone can say it just shows up. Like you do work for it. You work for it every day,
Yeah,
always.
very, very rare. I mean, I've certainly met a few people in my life who were so unbelievably talented. Um, but, and God bless them, they're probably 1 out of 10 million.
Sure. So then and now. So now here you are coaching coaches and tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what you're seeing in the medical billing world, doing it in dentistry. Tell me what you're seeing in just the world of dentistry. I mean, you're pretty much on every podium. So tell me what you're seeing there. Who?
Pretty, pretty, medical billing, I can get more specific. In regards to just what I'm seeing in dental, kind of more broadly, uh, I'm trying to select my words carefully here. There's one side of me that is extremely hopeful and
Yeah.
very happy. There's a group that I see that pursues the highest level of excellence in everything they do. Every treatment is well thought out in terms of the delivery of the treatment. Backing up from there, how it's presented to the patient is well thought out. how they treat their team members is well thought out, how they provide for an inner and outer growth of their team members is well thought out, and it's a beautiful design. And it's a place where I would certainly send any family or member of mine without hesitation. There's And that's unfortunately a minority, unfortunately, less than 50%.
Right.
Then there's another side. Hollie, a colleague, friend, whatever you want to call it, of you and I, on at Hinman, we were walking very privately. Just he kind of leaned over to me, and it was after a couple CEs, and he was like, "Hey, Hootie, there's no way some of these people are allowed to do dentistry on a human being. It can't be possible." And so there's that side, and that side seems to have gotten a little bit bigger. I don't know if maybe I'm getting older and I'm getting a little bit more sensitive to that. But there's a part of dentistry now that appears to be so business driven that enough corners are being cut where it's a little bit concerning.
Right.
Where you're like, I don't know if that's the right answer to your practice's problem, but if you think it's going to make you more profitable, I understand. I get it. You got to feed your family, but I'm not really sure how that's making patient care better. But
What do you think drives that? We all have our own answers, but I'm curious from your perspective. What do you think drives that?
I do think that I think that there's a couple pressures. One is there's no doubt that post-COVID, material costs have gone up, supply costs have gone up. There's no doubt about that. There is no doubt that the payroll has gone up, so that's a significant expense. So, and I'm just making up numbers just for the sake of this conversation. True. If you were paying person X $18 an hour, maybe now it's 25. If you were paying Y person $40 an hour, it might now be 55. So these are significant leaps. When you go from 18 to 25, that is like a 40% increase. That's incredible, right? In your head, you're like, oh, $7 an hour, who cares? It's a lot.
No, in my head, I say that takes your staff cost. If you're the guy that's sitting at or gal that's sitting at 25% in staff cost, then the staff costs have increased now to a huge, closer to 30% is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It is insane to see staff cost.
Correct. So you're absolutely right.
That means a third.
Mm-hmm.
It means 1/3 of every dollar.
Correct. And so
that is collected goes to first paying the team.
Now, I remember a time when I would look at financial statements, and to your point, I would always see like 18 to 23%. In the last 5 years, I've almost always have seen 27 to 32. So that's significant. But it's the counter move. It's the counter move that's the problem, right? So for me, what I mean by that is I can't control my environment to some extent. I can't control that COVID happened. I can't control that there's a war that affected our prices as well. Certain things I can't control. I can only respond within my own practice. So the world I came from, and certainly a big chunk of that, I give credit to T-Bone or Tarun for that, is that, okay, if I'm being tested or I'm being put in a more competitive environment, I am going to compete. So if I have this increase in payroll, then I look to add implants to my office. I look to
what services?
Apnea.
How can we serve them better?
How
can we be more complete for our clients? Absolutely.
Right. If I can only do anterior root canals, maybe I learn to do premolar molar. Whatever your joy is, how do I diversify my services and the skills I have? How do I upend them to become more competitive? That I think is a minority. What I think is more common, 51% and up, is like, wow, expenses are getting really high. Let me think of which of the girls to lay off.
Listen,
Uh,
I had this conversation today. I'm
okay.
like,
I guess that'll
the,
work. But,
the average dentist, they think, how do I cut expenses? So I'm
right.
going to go ahead and we're not going to offer uniforms anymore. Forget, we're not going to do any team builders. That's going to save me some money.
Hmm.
Hey, we're going to trim up here, trim up there. We're going to go to some of these house brands and all of those things, cutting costs sound great, but you're putting a short-term fix on things instead of looking and going, wait a minute, if I take out my team builders and if I take out these benefits that people were lured to work with me for, I should be investing in improving in my team and working on my retention and working on their skill sets so I can help them diversify and I can help them to continue to grow with me, because that's where really the growth of the company happens. And when you're growing the company, then all of a sudden your overhead goes down. But if you're not growing the company,
100%
your
on
overhead
that.
stays up and you're just kind of like trying to trim
I mean,
the
100%
cost
agreement
of it
in
all.
that. And I think what you said one step before that was more important, in my opinion, in that when you, if, I feel like I can't speak for everyone. When you're in an environment where the doctor pushes for excellence, pushes for greatness, adds more services, it's funner than when you're in the environment where you don't know at any moment that you might get laid off because the
Right.
P&L is a little bit off. There's a security feeling, there's a fun feeling, there's a growth feeling. Uh,
Yeah.
it's so much funner. And yes, I agree with you. It typically works out really well when it's done right from a
I
profitability standpoint.
we coach docs all the time, and I'm like, owners, here's the gig. When you say we've got to control costs, you have to give the plan. What does that look like? And if you say cut, you're making everyone feel that their financial security, which is, their food and shelter of their home,
Right.
is being jeopardized.
Sure.
So, single mama over here, she's freaking out going, am I next?
Right.
Or the new gal that just got hired 6 months ago is going, what's going on? Is
Right.
my job safe? I'm like, if I say, hey guys, we got to focus in on our costs, I have to give the plan and say, here's how we're going to do this. These are the areas we're going to get tighter on. But let me tell you the areas we're going to focus on the growth on, because the growth is how we balance out the numbers.
Yeah,
And in such a small group of dentists actually process that information well and go, oh, if I want to control my overhead, I've got to really grow my business.
I
I got to grow my business means I got to grow my team.
I can give a very specific example. Very
I love examples. Give it
very
to me.
specific.
We love examples.
So a good buddy of mine, we went to college together. So now I've known him now 25 years. So hey, if you're listening and you know who you are, I still love you. So sorry if you hear this
There
story.
you go.
Um, he uh, he because of the previous place he worked as an associate, he had picked up certain habits, and those habits were very cut costs, low, cheap, grind the supply rep down, grind the cost on gloves, grind. And I didn't say anything. We were both very young, and I helped him. We designed his first practice together. We built it together, and then I want to say it was like the first 3 months, I think 4 months he was in, and he did the same thing with his team. When he ran the ad, I think back then, this is how old I am. I think it was on Craigslist. When he ran the ad, and I'm not making this up, he hired based on whoever asked the lowest value. So
Oh,
whoever said
Lord.
this is what I expect for compensation,
Right.
that's who would get an interview. And if they were nice, he hired them. So fast forward, he's like, this is like the third month. He's like, hey man, can you come in and for the whole day be the treatment coordinator? I was like, yeah. I was like, anyway, I had the day off. I was like, yeah, I'll cruise
Sure.
through. So I came, and for a brand new practice 3 months out, I ran 16 grand in one day in collection.
That's awesome.
And we finished the day, and he's just delighted. Now, keep in mind at that time, 3 months in LA, where there's a million dentists, You
Sure.
know, to do 16 grand a day was unheard of. You
Yeah.
know, the office's total collection a month might be 30, 40, let alone 16 in a day. So during the day, the girl who's the office manager asked a lot of awesome questions, was like participating, picking stuff up, very just, I was really impressed like with everything she was trying to do. So when we get done with the day and the team goes home, he's like, "Hey man, you've got to let me take you to dinner. This was an exceptional day." And I was like, "Okay, cool." I was like, "Let's roll." And we get in the car, and by the way, $130,000 car. Just want to throw that out there because sometimes when I talk to these dentists about their expenses, I sometimes wonder what's driving the expenses outside of the practice. So
Right.
we're driving, and he says, we're talking. I'm like, "Hey man, um, you know, I don't know how your office manager is currently living in LA. Um, I think, in my opinion, you should give her $1 or two more per hour." He cussed me out for like the next 10 minutes in the car. And I mean cussing, like he was screaming, like, "How dare you? Do you think I could afford this?" Keep in mind the car we're in. Okay. I want you to keep this in mind what car we're in. "Yeah, how dare you? How am I supposed to feed myself? This is unacceptable. How would you?" And I was like, "All right." So that day, so we get done with dinner. I'm like, "Hey, man," I was like, I don't understand your formula. You always be my boy. Like, I'm not coming back." And he was like, "Okay." So another 4 or 5 months goes by, and he goes, "Hey, she just resigned. I'm in deep. Can you help me?" And I said, "You have to do it my way, or else I'm not helping." He goes, "Dude, I'll do it your way. I'll spend whatever, whatever." I'm like, "Listen,
Right.
I'm not asking you to spend $1 million. I'm asking you to give a reasonable salary to a reasonably qualified human being who is going to grow your practice, and you're going to help grow him or her. Can you abide by that?" He's like, "Absolutely, bro. Whatever you."
Yeah, give goals. Give them opportunity.
So here's where it gets interesting. So he hired a young man, very highly polished. He paid the upper echelon price at that time. Inside of 9 months, that young man grew that practice 100% in revenue. 100%. Doubled the revenue. And his presence, and then, good manager, the hygienist respected him, the assistants, and it just all clicked. Everything just fell into place. And so to this day, when we talk about it and that comes up, he's like, "Yeah, man, I should have listened to you from day one, but maybe I needed to learn that lesson the hard way, and
Yeah.
let it happen the way it did." And yeah, they stayed together for years, and it just kept growing, and it just everything, like I said, everything clicked, and he was less stressed out. He was happier. Everything worked, and the patients were happier, and things were getting done on time, and it was a good experience. And certainly, again, back to the point, cutting costs is important. It is, especially if there's waste, but
Controlling costs
controlling
is
costs. Thank
important.
you.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you need to take that, let's call it a risk, because this
Mhm.
young man, we didn't necessarily have a guarantee that it was going to work out. We were confident based on his resume and his interview, and checking his work references. But there has to come a point for any business owner, even myself, where when I used to own a business, that, okay, I am willing to lose X dollars on this experiment. And if it doesn't, I'm going to learn from it, and I won't repeat these mistakes, and I'm going to grow from it. Or, I do hit right, and, the world becomes a lot of easier place for me.
Well, I totally agree because there were so many people who took risk on me in my career
Me too.
inside of the office. But there was also those who didn't take the risk who said, you're making good money and you're doing a good job, but I don't see how you can make more money here. Well, so I take that and I've used that in my coaching business to pretty much coach doctors that if someone says I would like to have a raise, then my response is always let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I want you to share with me what you're doing now, what all you've done
And what's your
that
plan?
you, yeah, and then what's your plan going forward. I don't want to be the plan person. I want you to tell me your plan,
Mm-hmm.
because if you want to raise, I want to help you get there. You might, maybe you don't get it today, but let's put out a performance plan so that you can get it. I'll coach you there. When doctors call and they say, "Oh my gosh, da 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 just cornered me for this raise," I'm like, "All right, what's the coaching plan? What's her performance plan so that she can get to that metrics?"
Mm-hmm.
If she wants it, she wants it.
Mm-hmm.
She just said to you, "I want it."
Yeah.
Your response should be, "Oh God, I got to give her $1." No, your response should be like, "What do I've got to find for her and her skill set so that she can earn another dollar with me? What's missing?
uh, uh,
What's missing? Let me,
Hollie,
let's do it."
to your podcast or interview, what we're doing now. Do you have a good number of dentists, practitioners who listen?
I do. I
Perfect.
do.
So, with another gentleman, I was at his house, and coincidentally, while I was there, some other friends texted me, and they're like, "We're in town." It was totally spur of the moment. So we jump in the
Sure.
car, and this was in another state, and we all go meet up. And so there was a lot of us. There was probably like 10 of us, and we're sitting at this big dinner table, and everybody is just chipping in and chiming in and talking. It was a really nice environment, very nice environment. And this young man turns to me and he's like, "Hey, like who are these people?" And I gave a very just kind of one sentence summing it up, and he was like, "Man, like, God, these people are just blowing my mind. They're and none of them were doctors, by the way, none of them, except for him, my friend, and one other person." And he's like, "Bro, like I like how their offices must love the fact that they have people like this." And I didn't know everybody at the table. I was like, "Hey, bro, I guarantee you, every single one of them does not work in an office. And I guarantee you the reason they don't is at some point they made some dentist a lot of money. They weren't compensated for it, and then they left and started their own business."
Yeah.
Swear to God, on my daughter. He starts from left to right, asking everybody. Every single guy and girl had exactly the same story. "Hey, there was this guy in New Jersey. I took his practice from 2 million to 5 million. He gave me a $500 bonus, so I gave him my resignation.
Wow.
Hey, there was a dentist. I completely revamped his sleep program. His sleep went from 100 grand a year to $1.5 million a year. At Christmas time, he gave my son $20. I resigned." These insanely wild stories, and they're all true stories.
Yeah.
And when he got done, because he was working on a new practice for himself, I was like, "Hey, man, I want you to remember this night and don't ever make this mistake." And to his credit, he has not. He's had the same team for like 5 or 6 years now.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, I put the profit sharing model in my practices because if you don't share profit, you don't help people to feel a part of something,
Mhm.
then at what point do they outgrow you or you outgrow them?
Right.
So to keep people growing together, we do profit share models. That is, if we're performing, you're winning. If we're winning, you're winning, and that's probably been one of my biggest successes with coaching is learning from all the things that happened while I was inside of the dental practice,
Right.
going through other coaches that coached practices I was in, watching a lot of failed bonus programs that underappreciated people. I got to work with a lot of doctors who were very appreciative and very loving and kind to their team members. And I got to participate in those practices, but I also worked for people who were, it's about me.
Right. Right.
And I know that you hear this all the time, but the people build the practice. The team builds the practice.
Absolutely. They.
Yeah, we need a great dentist. We need a fantastic dentist that'll do the work, that'll lead us and guide us. But when you invest in the people, you really grow them. They stay with you. Sometimes they do grow past you, but they always think of you. There's
100%.
not a day that goes by that one of my former employers' names doesn't come out of my mouth. Whether it's somebody says, "Oh my goodness, I love your smile," and I'm able to share the doctor that did my teeth, or whether it's someone who said, "Where did you learn that?" and I'm able to, you know, give contribution to where it's deserved. But the truth of it is like valuing people, the people who built the business with you when you were new, or when you were in trouble, or when you were underperforming. Like those are the people you invest in. They're investing in you when you're underperforming and you're not at your best. You got to invest back in them so that they will be with you and grow with you long term. So I totally get this, and I deal with it every day. I spend a lot of time changing doctors' mindsets.
Yeah, and that's an important thing you do, a highly important thing. And I'm not saying that because I'm on here or you're my friend. One of the places where I'm very compassionate towards the dentist, extremely compassionate, is training, right? So when somebody asks me, how do you do X, Y, and Z? I say, oh, well, I took this course. Then after the course, I did, and there's a process, right? In terms of dentistry at the academia level, because there is no marketing courses, there's no finance courses, there's no accounting courses, even on a basic level, there's not even a semester of it. That person now graduates with anywhere from 400,000 to $1 million in debt,
Yeah.
consolidated at anywhere from 5 to 9%, depending on when they graduated. So this person has not even turned the lights on yet, and $3,500 is outbound for 30 years, for 360 months, right? Or for 30
Mm-hmm.
years. So that's a lot of stress, and the world, to some extent, says, hey, you're a doctor, figure it out. No, that might have worked 50 years ago. But now when you're, let's say in Atlanta, a friend of mine who has a marketing company, just for fun, because we're buddies, he took me through an ad spend of
Yeah.
zip codes in the metro Atlanta area. When you have one location, you're, let's say, doing like 1.5 million a year. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to go toe to toe with a company whose tax return last year, I believe, was 2.5 billion.
Yeah.
You think you're like, oh, I'll put like $2,000 a month in Google, and they've got 20,000 for one word.
Right.
So how do you beat them? How do you compete, right? So some of
Yeah.
that is not taught in academia. So sometimes when a dentist says like, hey, I never learned that, or I don't know how to do that, I'm very compassionate because
I'm compassionate, but I'm also challenging because I'm like,
of
the
course, that was
world
going to
is
be
at
my
your
next thing.
fingertips
Yeah,
right
that
now.
was going to be my next thing is,
Like,
hey, I'm compassionate to your situation, but
yeah,
you also need to do something about it. Like,
but it's always, if you don't know it, you can learn it.
correct.
My children hear this from me and my husband every day. Is like 20 minutes a day of anything, and you can be exceptional at it.
Does your husband say the same thing to you about IT and IP addresses by any
Absolutely.
chance?
Absolutely. I have an intern who is working with me right now who is um, helping me improve my AI skill set and also continuing to grow her degree.
Well,
So I am all about like, I've got to learn these things. Um,
well, you just gave me an easy segue, if you don't mind, with the AI.
no, I love it.
Yeah, so Dentite. Dentite is the company that purchased Code. That was in July. And there was a couple of reasons why I sold to them in particular of all the offers. One is that one of the founders is a personal friend. And when he was a client of ours, he was phenomenal. I mean, he understood it, he got it, he had a protocol, he had a system. Even when he was, very good at it, he would still come with his team to a tune-up course with me and T-Bone. And he just was really passionate about it. Then I believe it was COVID or right into COVID, like 2021. He had some turnover, and that turnover, from the way he tells the story, made him really realize that I'm a little too dependent on my team, and like I either need to take more responsibility, or there's got to be a better way to do this. And what I mean by that, Holly, for those that never used our platform, for that time, the way that we got around all the different PMSs and dental offices was we just created an online portal. You would do some data
Yeah,
entry, you would load your notes up and your fees, and then hit submit. That took like a minute, maybe 2 minutes. And so sometimes office managers didn't, or front desk people didn't have time for that.
sure.
Or, you
You
know,
get turnover and
you
you
get
get someone
turnover,
new.
you'd have to
Yeah,
retrain them, whatever the reason might be. So
sure.
what Dentite developed is an ability to go into most of the big name PMSs, all the ones we're familiar with, and they can automatically port out the demographics, so you don't have to type that up. And so basically three components. If the medical insurance card is in the right place, the ledger actually has the correct dental code,
Sure.
and there's some decent documentation, it's all going to happen automatically. So you no longer have to worry about, uploading things to our system or submitting anything. It'll just happen automatically. So that was, for me, that was a big deal because,
He was able to take code to a new level
yeah, it took code to a new
with
level.
some code.
Yeah, with some coding, a lot of
All
coding.
it took was some new code and,
And so,
some AI scripts, and we're in a different place.
yeah, and so,
Awesome.
obviously because of that, instead of making up numbers, instead of, let's say, me hoping that Holly, the office manager at
Yeah,
Dr. XYZ's office, hopefully submits 30 claims in a month, now I could do 30 in about 1 day automatically.
right. Now I don't have to worry whether Holly remembers to do that part of her job.
Correct.
It's being done, and now
Correct.
you're submitting claims, and that then, this whole new opportunity for code is going to definitely um, give existing clients a leg up because they're already using your system, and now they're getting
Yeah. So,
a great relief of, oh, I don't have to upload this anymore.
yeah.
Woo,
So
saving time.
I got this.
But then they get the better part, which is, hey, this just automatically does it for you, and you are going to get to see the checks.
Yeah. So I had one of my very
That's
first
awesome.
50 clients. He's out in California. Um, because in July it happened, and then kind of August, September there was a little bit of a transition,
Sure.
and then really in October, November we started like converting the existing clients, and of course we have new clients as well. And
Right.
so I just pulled up his text, and I was like, "Hey man, can I chat with you and fill you in on stuff?" He's
Yeah.
like, "Absolutely, I've heard about some things. I had a few questions because I've totally lost my entire front team, and I have
Yeah.
a brand new team. Could we talk on Monday?" So I'll be chatting with him on Monday, and I've
You
known
get to
him.
share the good
Yeah,
news.
I've known him for. He was one of my first, so I've known him for 12 years. And I think when I tell him it's automated, he's going to be like, "Okay, cool. Where do I sign up?"
Right, because automation just allows the people in your practice to touch the people coming into your doors.
Yes.
That's what I love about
Damn,
automation
that was
is
really good. Say it one more time, Holly, for the listeners.
the people in your practice to touch the people coming in your doors. Like, you want the face to face to be exceptional.
Fantastic.
And that's where every practice can really be competitive now, is how good can I deliver service from the minute they walk in the door to the minute they leave. AI allows us to give great phone service now. It allows us to give great reminding services. Hey, you're due for this. Hey, this is good. Miss Jones. It allows us to give great emails.
Oh,
But
I'll do one too for medical billing.
yeah,
Yesterday, an office, and we were getting towards the end of the call, and I had to unfortunately hang up. I couldn't stay on. The office manager for somebody who was interested in medical billing was like, hey, I've heard the notes for medical have to be more detailed and, this and that. What do you recommend? I was like, I'm sorry, I have 4 minutes. Watch this. So I shared my screen. I pulled up ChatGPT and I wrote, write a soap note for a patient who has a periapical abscess on tooth number 19. And the
Right.
whole thing came out medically compliant. Everything was in the right
And
place.
the girl and your office manager went, what?
She's like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, it's free. Don't worry about it. Sorry, I got to go. Talk to you later. Bye. And
Yeah.
but I saw her face because we were on a video chat. She was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I mean, this was not available 5 years ago. It was even available maybe 3, but and I told her, and I gave her some more info. I was like, hey, you could do this for implants. You could specify. You could try this, and it's a new practice that they're setting up. So even the doctor who was on the call was like, oh, like, so maybe I could use this for my templates. And I'm like, bingo, there you
You're like,
go.
you can.
You
I
can.
want you to, because you will be great. You'll be a great client if you use that.
Yeah. So it's
But,
a different world.
dentistry's changing.
Oh, it's
This
very
is
different.
changing so fast. And, the older generation is trying to keep up, and they're still trying to, move to digital charts from paper charts. But now here's this younger generation that's 5 steps ahead, and they're expecting to walk into a practice that's already digital, been digital for a decade, and now ready to use AI, ready to integrate that into their workflow.
Yeah, no, it's true, and forget even the older generation, because I by no means do I think I'm old at 45, but where I'm reminded there's a difference is occasionally, like when I talk to like one of my 25 or 30-year-old cousins and how they use technology, then I realize the gap. It's not that I don't know how to use it or I'm not familiar with computers, but their mind frame around what kind of a tool it is so different from
Very
mine. And
different.
they're, my cousins are only like 15 years younger than me. But it's
Yeah.
like when I hear them talk, I'm like, oh, that's never even crossed my mind. Like I've never.
But Hootan, you and I are the same generation. We didn't grow up with the phone in our hands.
No, no.
We didn't, I think I was 18 before I actually had a phone.
I was 20.
And so there you go. It is one of those things that the work that we've put into learning it all, now it's just so easy and so natural because they're in that learning environment
Oh yeah, yeah.
nonstop to use it.
I agree.
There's 100 teachers walking around with, with programs that are basically checking for AI script to check to see if the kid wrote his paper off of AI or not.
Right.
They're having to put man-made components into your essay papers to make you have to write an authentic story. It's crazy to talk to professors that are dealing with AI in the educational sector. But in dentistry, I'm like, gosh, dang, just enjoy it because it can make our jobs easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I won't say.
The email to Mrs. Jones to dismiss her from the practice.
Yeah,
Because,
I was gonna say more on the clinical side. There's been a couple manufacturers, and yeah, we'll just
making your notes easier.
we'll just say manufacturers.
Yes.
That when it comes to, and I'm trying to be as vague as possible, when it comes to like, let's say how you merge together or how you bring together a DICOM file in STL, and then from there, what you can do, or I should say, I said that wrong. When the DICOM and the STL merge, what the AI can do for you. So for example, like a single tooth implant, it does the guide itself. It puts the implant, I mean, you might have to adjust a little bit. Emergence profile is taken into account, implants in the right place. The prosthetic is designed, the abutment's designed, the whole thing is designed automatically, right? Yeah. Like you shoot the CT scan, you throw the STL, and it's done. Like, we thought 5-10 years ago that was going to happen, but now that we're seeing it and it's being released and different manufacturers are coming out with these softwares, it's just getting better and better and better. And to your point, all of this at the end of the day, why do any of us do it? Why are you involved? Why am I? At the end of the day, it's about the patient. Yeah, we all want to earn a living, but at the end of the day, we're all here because in some respect, somewhere in us, all of us care about a human being. And
Yeah.
if it was with me, if it was, I hope this person gets their $30,000 trauma case covered, or I hope I could get them their sleep appliance, and they'll wear it and it'll make their life better, or Tarun doing life changing dentistry. We're all at the end of the day, we're doing it all for the patient. So if there's any tool that could make us better, why not do it?
Yeah, every bit of it. Because I'm like, man, if I get more FaceTime with my patient, but all my tasks
Are being
can
completed.
go so much faster,
Yeah.
the email that might have taken me 20 minutes to write, last week, now I just talk to my robot and it takes me 90 seconds to write.
Mm-hmm.
And as you train your robots, they get better and better
Sure.
for you.
Sure.
Even I'm very excited about some of the technology that's coming out. I'm looking
I am
forward
too.
to our robots being able to fight insurance robots, so that it's not our humans fighting robots. Like, hey, I want to automate some of that stuff too, and be able to even automate some of my phone calls and some of my inquiries.
Yeah,
So
and it's certainly exciting on the from the dentite side with medical billing. We've certainly, I think, done a great job on all of your
streamlining,
basic daily stuff.
so
Um,
exciting.
yeah, like, and what I mean by that is, like, let's say if we're talking about exam for bite wings and a CT, that's very done, straightforward. And then now, like, it's been a few months now, now that we're dialing in the all on X and we're dialing in some of the more complicated stuff, that's even more exciting, right? Because not that billing a CT or an exam is not important, it is, everything's important, but, like,
Yeah,
when it starts getting into that 30, 40, 80 kind of thousand mark, you can
you need
really,
all the help you can get
right,
from
you can
whoever
really
will
help
give
a
and
patient, you can
contribute
really help the
money.
practice, right?
Yeah,
The
but it
help
helps
that
the
you can
patient.
provide. Hmm.
It helps the patient. So
100%.
every penny that you all can uh, help them out with, that will increase case acceptance.
And
So
that's the feel
I'm
good
very
part.
excited to follow that and see how that's working
Of
for you
course.
guys. But today we see, like, you see it from being on the podium and being on the medical and dental billing side. I see it from being in the practices. We see the changes that are happening.
Hmm.
We see the changes that are
Hmm.
happening. So give me your best advice that you could share with an office manager or team member that is just on the burnout side. What would you tell them? How would you encourage them?
Uh, I would have to say the same thing I said. Again, I'm going to use the word reset. Um, some people may not want to hear this, but it's the truth. It is possible, and there's nothing wrong with that. It is possible that you hit the reset button, and maybe, I hope not, especially if you're great at what you do, you say that maybe dentistry isn't for me. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Your own happiness should be number one. But hopefully what happens is you hit reset and you say, hey, listen, I am a talented person. I'm a wonderful person. I have a lot to offer dentistry, and I'm going to find that path that I could offer what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
And I know while it's tough, if you really try, you network, you reach out there, if maybe you're in an unhappy situation that you just can't fix, there are other like-minded people who, when they meet you, will understand you, will see you, and will want to do right by you.
Yeah.
I know some days for these people who suffer or aren't happy, it might not seem that way. I get it. When it's dark, it's dark. But you've got to have hope that there's light.
Absolutely. Now, what would you say to the business owner?
To the business owner, very easy. Embrace the change. Um, be open-minded to it. I'm not saying go buy every toy the rep tries to sell you. No, 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 that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying embrace the direction of where it's going. Um, you know, Understand it. Sometimes when I'm, especially now, Holly, because I'm not traveling as much. There used to be a time when I would show up to a dental convention I couldn't make it 500 feet in 45 minutes because I had to stop that many times to say hello. But now I do, and nobody stops me for anything, right? And nobody even knows who I am in the audience. So occasionally I'll be sitting in one of my friends' courses, and like I'll hear like one dentist go to the other dentist like, this is all bullshit. I don't know what this kid's doing. No, it's not. You might want to just listen to him and give him a chance, understand what he's saying, right? Now, I'm not saying buy what he's saying. I'm not saying do what he's saying, but just be open-minded to processing the whole thing. And if afterwards you give it a fair chance and it's not for you, I get it. But to just off the cuff fire, I don't want to hear it because you're resistant to change, that probably is not a good idea.
I have challenged, and I do offer this challenge to everyone to learn something that is outside of your box. Go to a course that you would never ever sign up for.
I agree with that. I would say that CE course I talked about earlier a couple months ago in Chicago about the gentleman who I was following. We might not have been recording at that time, Holly, but I was saying I went to a CE and I thought it was going to be all dentists. And one of the lectures was an oral surgeon. And granted, I was not there with any oral surgeons. I'm not an oral surgeon. His presentation was so mind-blowing in terms of just what is possible in orthodontic surgery, the technology, CT scans, the preparation, how he changes their faces. Like, I mean, there was like 6, 7 friends of us who were all in the same row, and we all were just like, is this happening right now? Like, none of us are oral surgeons, but what we all took away from it is that greatness is very much possible, and you have to want to pursue it. And that would be a message maybe for both business people, the dentist, and the team members. You've got to put in a little bit of the effort to want it.
Absolutely.
The path could be in front of you, but you're the one that needs to walk it.
So, Hootan, if anyone wants to find you, how do they get a hold of you?
Do I just say it or do I type it? What do you want me to do?
No, say it. Tell us. We'll put it on here. Tell us how we can find Hootan for advice, or if I want to sign up to be a client of Code.
Sure.
How's all this work?
Sure.
Give it to us.
I'll throw my email address out there. Yeah. So that's going to be H as in Hootan, K as in kite, so HK. Then my last name, if you can see it on the screen, SHAHIDI, so hkshahidi @gmail.com. And then our company phone number, if you ever want to call about the medical billing, is area code 818-306-5106. And again, my email, hkshahidi @gmail.com.
And do you have any social platforms they can follow you on?
Yes. On Instagram, I am Hootie, HOOTIE. I'm Hootie Medbill. On Instagram, you can find me on LinkedIn, and you can also find me on Facebook. And Facebook and LinkedIn, it's just Hootan Shahidi.
There you go. So if you're interested in medical billing and you want to know more about how that can be automated in your office and can create an income stream for your practice, which actually helps to lower your costs when you make some money. We learned that today, right?
We did.
Or if you are burnt out and you just need some good encouragement, man, just follow Hootan. You'll get a hoot, and he is his own inspiration for you guys. So thank you so much for hanging out today.
Social media, let's do it. I'm going to take a photo of you and I together here.
Oh, no. We love the photo.
You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
All right, and my turn. Hey, don't I get one too? Hey. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Hootan.
Thank you, Holly.
It's always great catching up.
You're the best. I appreciate you.
Awesome.
Bye.